All right, it looks like it's working. Maybe I don't really know. Let me connect my hard drive so I can record and stream. And we're back. All right, we are recording, we are streaming, and I'm about to be streaming on TikTok. Go live. Let's talk camera gear. Go live. All right, it looks like we are live. All right, cool. All right, so let's get into it. Move this thing out the way. I just wanted to hop on here and we're gonna talk about my camera gear going into 2026. This is my setup and what I am using as of this moment. We have the Sony 50 to 150 f2 lens. This thing, ever since I got it, it pretty much has not came off my camera. So it's got the humongous 95mm opening. Yo, what's up, buddy? All right, we got the Sony A1 II here. It's in the small rig cage. Of course, you got the awesome tilty flippy doodah screen. I like it because whenever you're recording video, you can flip that screen out, and I really don't even need an external monitor, honestly. Switch to top-down view here. I'm gonna go over my camera settings for you guys. But first, let me get a cover for the sensor. All right, cool. We back. All right, I'm gonna go over picture settings with you guys. Of course, we shoot in manual mode most of the time, but file format, I shoot one card I shoot RAW files, and then the other card I shoot JPEGs. Because honestly, everybody says shoot RAW all the time, but my JPEGs look just like the RAW, so sometimes I just don't feel like editing, so I use the JPEGs. But we shoot RAW, and then raw uncompressed, it gives you a humongous file size, but it retains the most data. JPEG, we shoot extra fine, and then, of course, 50 megapixels. Because why not? Alright, let's get out of that. And then we shoot aspect ratio 3:2, of course, use the whole sensor. And then really those are the only two modes that I use. I use low and then high. I have it set to this custom C5 button right here on the camera. I just mash that button and then you can see the camera changes between low and high. So whenever you're shooting sports, if you want to switch and take like a portrait style photo and you don't want to take 50 of the same picture, I just switch it to low. What other settings we got on here? Flash mode, that typically doesn't apply unless I'm using flash, so we're not going to go through that. White balance. Sometimes I shoot in auto white balance, but most of the time I just kind of set it on the Kelvin and then set it to whatever looks right. Usually indoor basketball is like 3600 to 3900, and then as you go outdoors, of course, you're in the 5 to 6,000 Kelvin range. And normally focus area, I shoot the small or medium spot focus. It just kind of helps narrow down where you're focusing, so you're not getting stuff that you don't want, especially with like basketball or football or something where you got 6 people in the frame. You can take that little box and put it wherever you want it to focus at. And usually I use the tracking spot, but it won't let me because I don't have a lens connected, so we'll leave it at that. How I have my FN menu set up here, we have, first thing, I leave it on my creative look, and that of course only affects the JPEG images, because when you shoot raw, when you upload them to your computer, they won't have any kind of creative look. You'll have to manually apply that. But I use the FL film look, and it pretty much does everything that I want. But I also have the picture profile here because whenever I switch to video, or I switch to video mode, I have the picture profile here in the same spot. So I click that, and picture profile 11 is S-Cinetone. So I can turn on and off the film look if I want it. And then whenever I switch back to pictures, I turn off the picture profile. Because whenever the picture profile is on whenever you're shooting pictures, you can't use that creative look. So I just keep it in the same spot. So when I'm switching back and forth, I can turn it on and off. Of course, we got steady shot, leave that on. We got recognition target. I usually just leave it on human because I don't shoot any animals or birds really, other than my own. And then, like I said, we got the drive mode, which is, I leave it on low and high. And then your image quality settings, we already went through that. I have white balance there. mechanical and electronic shutter. So with the electronic shutter, you get the faster burst mode. So I'll turn it on electronic and then turn it on high, and you can hear it like a machine gun. And then I'll switch back to low whenever it starts writing on this slow memory card. And then we'll switch back to mechanical, and this is the mechanical shutter. You can kind of hear the difference. I have my live view display. I know some of y'all might not know what the live view display is, but whenever I'm shooting flash, like if you get what the image really looks like, it'll be really dark, and then you turn that live view off and it'll pretty much brighten the whole image so you can see what you're looking at and the camera focuses better. Like say whenever you're shooting at a f8 or f7 whatever aperture, like the ambient light is really dark and you add in the flash, but that live view just makes everything bright where you can see what you're doing. And then I keep the subject recognition and autofocus. That's pretty much like this video here. Like you see, I put my hand over my face and it focuses. If you turn that subject recognition off, it will pretty much, anything that comes in front of the camera, it will focus on. See, like this, it's not focusing on the lens because I have the eye autofocus on. The only time it will focus on the object is if I cover up my eyes. So they just kind of, like say you're taking pictures of like a ring on somebody's hand, like it's not going to focus on the ring because it's going to be trying to catch the eye in the photo. So I keep that on the FN menu so I can turn it on and off quickly. And then we have the focus area and then record media settings. But that's what I keep on my FN menu. All right. So that's pretty much it for picture settings. We can go over. Oh yeah, keep the drive mode. That was the low and high. Then you can set up your continuous shooting speed. Like this thing will shoot 30 frames per second for pictures. But you can say I wanted the mid to shoot 20 instead of 15. You can change all that there. Right now I got it set up on 30 because I'm in the high mode. But if I set it on low, where'd it go? Yeah, if I set it on low, it only goes to 5. The cool thing about the A12 is it does have pre-capture. So I can set it pretty much up to 1 second. It will load the images if I have pressed the shutter but don't take the picture. It'll automatically start saving those pictures. That's really helpful for sports or any kind of action photography like racing, because you never know when something is going to happen. Autofocus settings. My autofocus continuous is just balanced. And then AF level for crossing, I leave that on 4. Sometimes I'll turn it down when I'm doing video because I don't want it pulsing back and forth trying to find something to focus on. Say most of this is set up for pictures, but none of that really matters. Subject recognition, we're on human. All right, now we can go over some of the video settings. I'm gonna switch over to video mode. Like I said before, I shoot the picture profile 11, which is the S Cinetone. And then usually I shoot with the standard steady shot, because if you use the active or the dynamic crops in, I think like 1.5 times. So it's a pretty crucial crop. Say I got the same subject recognition, the zebra display. I usually only use that when I'm shooting S-Log, which I don't do it often on this camera. I leave the S-Log to the FX3. That's the camera that I'm shooting the top-down shot on, is the FX3. And then this camera is the Sony A7 V. So y'all let me know how that looks. I've been liking it so far. It's pretty much like a mini A1 with the photo features. So I didn't really buy it for video because I have the FX3, so I'm covered on that. But let's go over video settings, file format. I shoot in XAVC S 4K most of the time. I know the A1 does 8K, but I tried to edit a video one time and it was slow as crap. You gotta have a dang $10,000 computer to edit 8K videos. But normally I shoot in 30 or 60, depending on what I'm shooting. Like any kind of thing that I plan to slow down after the fact is going to be in 60. Or if you really want to slow it down, you shoot in 120. That'll be like for sports stuff. And then, of course, shoot the highest bit rate possible, which is the 200 422 10-bit. And then that's pretty much it. The cool thing about the A7 cameras is in video, I can crop in using the APS-C mode. So you're only using half of your megapixels, but you get that extra length on your lens, which on the FX3, it does not allow you to do that because it does not have enough megapixels. So this camera is 50 megapixels and the FX3 is 12. But the low light on the FX3 is way better. I also noticed that with pictures too. Like this camera, it does great for like pretty much anything outdoors. This camera is what you want. But like nighttime pictures and indoor sports, the A7 IV and the A7 V, it's just something about that 33 megapixel sensor that, I don't know, it just you can be at 5,000-6,000 ISO and hardly notice any grain. Which on this, I don't know, it just looks different. I don't know why. Which this camera costs double what a A7 IV, A7 V costs. So. But you literally get every feature that Sony offers. So this thing, it even has a Ethernet data transfer port, which I've never used it, but it's there if I need it. What else does this thing have? So you got the HDMI port. Probably can't see it. HDMI, and then you got the USB-C port for for charging or data transfer. Then of course you got your headphone out, and then your 1/8 inch in if you want to use an external microphone. But that's pretty much all the settings that I use. So it don't really matter what you shoot with, just learn your camera inside and out. Which is why I love my Sony cameras, because essentially the menu and the settings are, I have every camera set up the same way. Like I set my ISO to the front dial, shutter speed to this dial right here, and then the aperture, usually it's set here on the lenses, so you turn it. But say a lens doesn't have the aperture ring, like my favorite lens right here, which is the Sony 35 1.8. This thing stays on my FX3 like 90% of the time. But I have that set up when it's not on the lens. I use the scroll wheel. So you just turn it forward and backwards, and that adjusts the aperture. So, but that's pretty much it. That's all my settings. Is anybody still watching? I see a lot of people coming in and out. In and out. All right. Well, I guess I'm gonna call it quits. It's about bedtime, so like I say, I'm live streaming on TikTok. I am live on YouTube, and I'm recording this video, so I'll probably post it to YouTube just for shits and giggles. But I'll catch y'all on the next stream. I'm gonna try to do better next year and post some more shit. So I got everything set up here. Microphone, I got my camera set up right there on the desk. You can probably see it in the top down. No, not on that one. If you're on the YouTube, you can see it. TikToks, I hate 9x16 videos. Isn't that right, D? Send me some coins, bruh. I'm sick of these fucking ads. Jesus. I know I make it look so good. You don't know what's live and what's recorded. But we're still dealing with ads on the TV. So if somebody wants to sponsor me, just buy me YouTube Premium, please. It's going to be my 2026 goal, is to get YouTube Premium with no ads. Probably need to go ahead and charge all my batteries for the pod tomorrow. You send me a heart? Heart me. Oh, you sent me a rose. I appreciate it. Send me some money. Send me some coins. Oh, shit. Damn, you see that? Oh, shit. Posting videos, and I ain't even posting videos. I got that shit set up on a timeline. Can you see it? Why is it black? What the hell? What video just posted? This was the Johnny Cash and Little Jimmy Dickens.
He's a real old guy, and he was talking about, did you ever see anybody cool doing a USO tour? And he was like, when I was in the Navy, we were docked somewhere, and you don't get to get off the ship often, so everybody's like getting off, but they're like, no, we got a famous country act coming, and he's like, oh man, it's probably gonna be Johnny Cash or something, because it's like, I don't know, the 70s or something, and he's like, oh, I'm not fucking, I'm gonna be here for that, and he was like, man, we're out there, and then here comes on the stage Little Jimmy Dickens. I was like, fuck.
Fuck Jimmy. Who is Jimmy Dickens? Anyway. No sound detected. What's that mean? I'm probably gonna get copyrighted for looking up Little Jimmy Dickens, but it's okay. Damn, I typed in Little Jimmy Dickens on YouTube, and the short that I just posted is the first thing that comes up. See if it comes up on yours the same way. What the fuck? Look, I typed in, oh shit, Little Jimmy Dickens. If you scroll down past his 2 songs, you're the first video on there about him. Let's see what this man sounds like. What's his best song? Oh man. Nah, I can't do that. I see why he was pissed off now when he thought it was going to be Johnny Cash. Ooh. I'm Surely I can't get copyrighted for Little Jimmy Dickens. Mm-hmm. Alright, fuck that guy. Where'd my music go? Alright, I'm about to get off here. It's past my bedtime. We'll catch you on the next one. Outlaw Tattoo Co. My only viewer. Oh, we got 2. Finn and Cards joined. But he's gone. Fuck TikTok. About to go live on the Stone Date podcast and see if I get more viewers. Stop streaming to you.